Millions of parents in England are being urged to get their children vaccinated against measles. The government has now declared a national incident as cases rise across the country.
And one mum, Gemma Larkman-Jones, is begging people to listen to this NHS campaign. She says she does not want anyone else to go through the pain she's endured because in 2014, she was advised to delay her son Samuel's MMR vaccine because he was suffering from chest infections. But at 2 years old, he contracted measles.
While Samuel seemed to recover, then in 2019, he was admitted to hospital with a very rare form of brain inflammation, which was a complication of the measles infection. Sadly, Samuel died aged just 6 years old. And while his mum, Gemma, was in hospital with her son in those final days, she told us she was receiving abuse from anti-vaxxers online.
Well, we're joined by Gemma now, alongside A&E doctor Emeka Okorocha. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
Gemma, I'm so sorry about the loss of your lovely little boy, and it must be very hard for you every single day in the wake of that tragedy. At the same time, you must be looking at these calls for people to get the vaccination and think, please, please, parents, take this seriously.
I do. I do think that people think it's not as serious as it can be because they're not aware of the complications. I mean, Sam died from SSPE, which is a complication of measles. But normal measles can bring deafness, blindness, pneumonia, encephalitis. You know.
You would have got Samuel vaccinated, wouldn't you?
I would have.
So when you said to the doctors, time for the MMR, or they said to you, what stopped that happening?
They like him to be well, but he just kept like temperature, or he would have the chest infection, and so it was just put off. And I've got to be honest, I naively was like, OK, he won't get measles, but if he does, he'll be fine. But he was going to have the MMR, and then he did get the measles, and he wasn't fine.
No. This is such an important point because you needed other parents to be getting their children vaccinated to stop the spread, because there was a really good reason why your little boy couldn't have the vaccine, but then he was then exposed because others weren't having the vaccination. So it's about all of us, isn't it?
I needed herd immunity, which is if there's a child that can't, I mean, immunocompromised people I don't think can have the vaccine because it's a live vaccine. So they need the protection from the people around them.
Dr. Emeka, Gemma's message is so important because there's a lot of parents who might think it's going to be all right, most other people have got the vaccine.
Exactly.
I don't need to. What was this rare complication that people might not be aware of?
And first of all, coming in, you're very brave, and I'm very sorry about what happened. And if people are all thinking that way, and that's what can happen to, unfortunately, people who can't get the vaccine. So he developed SSPE, isn't it? Subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, also known as Dawson disease. And that's a rare, very rare disease that can happen from measles, one of them. And unfortunately, he passed away from it.
Yeah. So your message, Gemma, to other parents is what? How, you've got an opportunity this morning to tell people.
If someone's on the fence, if they're really not sure, speak to your health visitor or your doctor, not random people on the internet. Don't Google. Go and see a medical professional and talk your case over with them, because they're the people that know best.
It seems absolutely shocking that even while you were going through what you went through with your little boy, that you still got trolled on the internet by people who are, what, anti-vaccine or anti-MMR? It
wasn't anti-MMR, MMR so much. It was anti-anything. So it was a case of, while he was in the bed, I hadn't heard of SSPE. Some of the nurses on the wards hadn't heard of SSPE. So I wanted people to be aware of it. And I was told that I was taking money from pharmaceuticals. I was being employed. I was using my son as a way to make myself known in the world. I should be ashamed of myself.
That's so awful.
I just ignored him in the end.
Let's put all that awful nastiness to one side. Tell us about Samuel, what he was like as a little boy.
So he was cheeky. He loved a joke. He had a favourite joke. He used to tell it every year. It's, what's white and flies and floats upwards? A confused snowflake.
A confused snowflake.
He used to dance. He used to make up songs. Right. He had a cute little bunch of friends at school. And when he passed, they all wrote little notes for me, and or to him, and most of them said, "We miss you. You were the joker. You made us laugh." So,
Dr. Emeka, what would you say then to anybody who has concerns about the vaccine, thinks that it might be too late for their child because of their age to get the vaccine?
It's never too late.
Can adults also get it, and would that help?
Adults can get it, and the thing about it is if you're over the age of 20 or under the age of 5, you're more prone to getting severe complications if you've contracted measles. Yes,
I didn't know
yes, and under the age of 2 specifically. So about 1 in or 2 in 10,000 people will develop SSP. But this is going to rise if you're under the age of 2 and you contract measles. Hence why they've developed the vaccine calendar to people to get it 1-year-old and then again at 3 years and 4 months.
But also, if you get it older, you're also at risk.
Exactly, and this is if you haven't had your vaccinations before the age of 5. That's why it's so imperative for at least 95% of children starting school, especially in inner cities where we know that vaccine uptake is reduced and we know that the measles incidence is rising, to make sure that they get vaccinated.
Gemma, as Dr. Emeka said, you know, it's a terrible personal tragedy that you have suffered in the family, losing little Samuel, but you are turning that to
I just
good.
don't want anyone else to go through this
It's
unnecessarily.
so great what you're doing. What would you say to our viewers? If you are a mum at home at the moment and you've got children around Samuel's age when he died, 6, 7, and they've not had the MMR, what would you say to them today?
That if their child is able to, because as we said, not everyone can, to get the MMR, because they don't want to lose their child.
Dr. Emeka, there is a lingering scepticism about this.
There is.
Just dispel that for us this morning.
I'm here to dispel it, and like you've said, Gemma's story... Are you right? Yeah, Gemma's story will let you know just how serious the complications can be. Because although the rare disease SSP that he had is 1 or 2 in 10,000 people, about 1 or 2 in 1,000 children who have measles will develop a respiratory or another neurological complication down the line. And this could be fatal, unfortunately. So for me, I would say if you do have hesitancy, if you do have questions, do ask your health professional, because we can just see how important it can be to make sure your child is vaccinated, not only for your child self, but for other children exposed who may not be able to get the vaccination.
Dr. Emeka, thank you very much indeed. And Gemma, it's so important that you speak out.
Thank you.
And it's remarkable that you're able to speak out in the wake of such a tragedy. But as you say, don't want this to happen to anybody else, and it is a real risk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gemma.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you.
Thank you.